Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It will be Team EnVyUs versus Penta. We had a few technical issues which have been resolved now. We're going to get straight back into the action though. Penta, the artist joining us, have the lead right now, 13-11. It's been an up and down road for EnVyUs, definitely on the up right now. And he got completely stomped 12-3 in the first half, but the comeback is on. We've got a difficult buy here for Penta, saving a few weapons in the previous round. We've got the AWP, a couple of M4s and the UMPs as well. If EnVy can win this, probably ties things up, so they'll have to weak after this round. It's a 4B execution straight away, Harry. Let's get into it, shall we?
Yep, just charging on through HS, up on top of platform, raiding in death. Actually, I'm going to get himself one. Will be traded on out from Sixer. Within the site, Crystal causing some real problems, tagged away in through the smoke, and oh, that Molotov missed horribly. He has to try and get out of there, and as a result, Scream shuts him down. It's a 3-on-3. Players already rotated in from Penta to try and keep EnVy at bay. Bomb crossing it onto the site now. Action does have a brief lull within the site. I'll flash out, and Zed, just going to tap away. Scream goes down, turns the man advantage back in favor of Penta here. Happy over on platform, Sixer within the site, dropping out Zen into the 2-on-2. Happy really needs to try and help out. He's leaving Sixer to try and fend for himself, holding the cross, misses that shot, and now it becomes Sixer's problem to try and deal with. It's going to go down, and then Happy falls at the last hurdle. It is going to be the defuse to come on in. Penta in with a 14.
What a brawl of a round that was then. So it's that full B execution there. Obviously, it kind of counts as a pause. I guess you guys could discuss what's going on in these like massive long breaks, but it seemed like they went back to that B execution there. It has worked for them in the past, but this time they lose the first two picks, and Crystal almost plays himself. He misthrows the Molotov, right, which lands on his feet essentially as he tips the roof of the fountain area. It's a full back, a few kills in return there. 2v2 comes in, and Sixer seemed isolated. I wanted a bit more backup from Happy there. It seemed like, I'm not going to use the word baiting, but it's like he was hoping that he could nail some shots as they're crossing over to take Six down. He missed them, and now ultimately lost in the round. So still money to work with here, but Penta now in touching distance of getting map points here on Cobblestone.
I mean, who would ever use the word baiting when it comes to Happy?
Exactly.
But
so I think it's obviously synonymous with him now, but I don't think it's fair in all instances. I don't think that was the right usage, but you know what I meant. Like, he was trying to use Six's aggro position on the side to kind of bait them into running into unfavorable situations with them.
Into this round, though, actually, Innocent all the way up at long. Able to find the first, has to watch out. The flank going to come through, but Scream misses that shot, and Innocent still alive and kicking somehow. Finally going to be dealt with by Sixer. He gets the 2-for-1, already slowed EnVy right down. Sunny now going to present them with that chance for the equalizer. As they pick that up, we do kind of see some hesitation as to whether or not they are going to continue. Rotate already coming in from Penta, sees both players from B. Now, on this A bomb site, you can see they kind of realize maybe they've over-rotated this. HS now biding his time in connector. EnVy still have time to switch things up, and Penta are aware of this, and they're going to very preemptively rotate players off back towards that B bomb site. As a result, I mean, it only leaves one man in the site, that is Crystal, to try and hold back this push as it comes on through. RPK now towards SWAT. Crystal trying to spot this out. Here's RPK in the backline, a quick flick though to eliminate him from the equation, and now Sixer over at long. Crystal spots these players out, going to drop out Happy as well. He's not done just yet, showing up to the party in a big way in this round, as now it's all on Sixer, the AWP counterpart of EnVy. 8 seconds to try and work with. He has to first deal with Crystal within the site, and he can't find him. No time left to go for the plant, looking to try and hold on to the AWP if he can. Time is gone, they take the push, and they find him. Crystal with 3. Money going to be decimated now for EnVy.
Especially for Sixer as well. He dies after that timer, so he's going to this potential last round area with $400. Very good work there towards long A. You could feel it slightly falling apart for Penta. They get his first 2 kills. Innocent, great job. He's actually had a really quiet game so far. AK-47, first 2 kills coming in his favor by himself at long A. Could have got the 3rd as well. Gets taken down with the pistol eventually. A few frags coming in return for EnVyUs there, but well recovered by Crystal. He's at the back of the A side. Nails the shot that really counts at that point. Then 6 out. 3 versus 1. Can't do anything about that situation. Time ticking away. And this should be it now. If ever there was a chance to close out a game, this is the moment. This is EnVyUs' map pick, Cobblestone. You completely wrecked them on the first half. Second half has been a bit dicey for you, but you've managed to make number 15, and they have no money to work with here. This is the moment to end it. Round number 27. Full buy available for Penta. Not even an SMG for EnVyUs here. Pistols across the board, a little bit of utility. Sixer, like we said, $400 here. All he can get is a tech line in the smoke. That's it.
Yeah, he is incredibly limited for EnVy. Call has been made to head over towards Long, and they're going to go running on up. Bards hold aggression as they go charging on in. Innocent with the M4. Looking to try and mop this up. Crystal helping out. It's not looking good. Scream able to get one back in return. Happy actually going to do some damage on a Crystal. He now has his attention fixated between these two players. Sunny going to fall out to Scream as well. Scream in the backline goes in and takes the triple. He's looking to try and keep EnVy in this one. Bomb now rotating background. They've got the AWP up on Scream. Would have liked to have seen him really toss that over towards Happy, but it looks like they're going to elect to keep Scream over here at Long. Bomb rotating back with Happy. The offensive going to be split up. In the 2v2, not really ideal. This fake isn't being sold by Scream right now. He hasn't prevented the rotate. HS is going to be within the B-bomb site, and if he finds Happy, this round is over.
Suddenly a gamble. Scream's just trying to show presence at the A side of the map, like you pointed out. Throws an HE, and he'll be falling back to his teammate. Presumably Happy doesn't fully commit to this until Scream joins him. It'll be quite a while. There's still 35 seconds remaining here. HS isn't moving. Separated on either side. Now the advantage comes towards the T's in this particular scenario, because HS by himself, if he just gets one kill though, if he can stay alive, that'd be great. And now footsteps coming in, he can call for his teammate to probably come over at this stage.
Not going to be the case. Zan hasn't rotated off. HS, the only man here, is in danger, but he's sneaking around short, trying to keep himself hidden. They are clearing out the site, being very methodical, but it's left him with very little time. When the bomb line comes in, HS could deny. He's going to be tagged down, and Scream goes ahead and gets a fourth.
No
EnVy, a round that they never should have had. Penta in the 1v2. EnVy looking to try and keep themselves in this one. Scream currently one off the ace. Zen entering on in, finds the first on a Happy. Now into the one-on-one. Scream's not looking too great. He's been tagged down low. He has to try and get the ace. The Molotov to force him out into the open. The flash comes through and Zen clutches it out. 1v1. A good try from Scream. Say what you will. I mean, it might have looked a bit underwhelming every now and again, but that round there from him was fantastic.
It was. And Zen, he's been amazing for Penta throughout this first map, and first half especially, he was commanding. Going to that B bombs like every single time, 2 or 3 frag, and he's the player as well to close things out. 2 versus 1, amazing player. You're right, Scream did a great job to actually give them a sort of entrance to that round whatsoever. They had pistols across the board, 4 kills. If he gets the ace, he's the absolute hero. Can't do it. And just a note as well, this was EnVyUs' map pick. We move on to a map they're not necessarily comfortable with. Penta have had their ups and downs in it as well, but this is not a great way for EnVyUs to kick off this best of 3. It is double elimination still, so even if they do lose this, they're okay, but still, we're expecting the better brand of EnVyUs to turn up today, the one we're used to seeing, the one was at Dallas last week. This is a minor. They should be running away with this, and so far, it's not been good enough.
Yeah, the one thing that kind of benefits them is even if they do manage to, lose this best of 3, is there are 3 slots, right? Yeah. So that doesn't mean that that's it. They're not in the major qualifier. They kind of have that chance at retribution. But yeah, all in all, I mean, that was EnVyUs' map pick. Not really sure if it fares too well for them now when you think about it. But people I think who are more qualified to talk about it than us. What do you guys think went wrong there for EnVy?
I think we ought to ask what went right, because there wasn't very much, was there? Thanks very much, guys. We'll come back for Game 2 once more in this best of 3 semi-final. EnVy start off by losing their own map to Penta. Thorin, they've just carried on from where they were in the group stages. We were hoping for better, and we just haven't got it, have we?
No, and especially like that. This is another example of how flawed the concept of the team is. Like with players that good, you should be getting a solid amount on CT side. Like you should be. They're just jewels you're taking in off. This is a great example, by the way. XMS, who has been the guy carrying them the whole week, he had an amazing round there. They threw that round away later on. They actually lost that one, if you remember. That was only Happy, ended up in like the 1v1. Yeah, this is just terrible, terrible stuff. And they were going to need like some godlike T-side. So, yeah.
On the flip side of this, Matt, shouldn't we praise Penta's play? Because they haven't looked ruffled at all in any of the games that they've played so far, including this one.
No, and I mean, Sunny had a great game, which we talked about him being the breakout potential from them. He's definitely looked good. Innocent, obviously, they're looking bad. But overall, yeah, I mean, Penta's looking more of a team than EnVyUs is, which is not what I would have favored to Penta. I would have said with Penta, it's kind of unpredictability. Crystal, you kind of said that he's been kind of stuck around this level for a while. Truth is, though, he has decent games every now and then. Sunny has to be the one to step up, but you also look at Innocent, even in the Polish scene, pretty average, but consistent. That's kind of where you have them. Occasionally, these guys will step up, but it's not something I would rely on to beat a team like EnVyUs. Whereas you look at Happy on the other side, we talked about his lurking. Round 22 kind of epitomizes all the mistakes they made. Minute left.
I mean,
They go out B. He's still top drop. Hasn't even gone down to lurk. They're all dead, and he goes, oh, I guess I should go down now and try and pull the defense back like I was supposed to. Like,
on the other hand,
why didn't you?
Also had rounds like that in round 18 where he can win a 1v3.
Yeah, okay, that's great. He's got the
But it's
skill
super
to do it.
inconsistent is the point, isn't it?
It's not even inconsistent. It's just inconsiderate. Like, why are you not doing your job to help your team? Like, even if he goes down in this, like, I think he thinks the problem is that, like, I get the impression that his mentality is he has to make the big play. Truthfully, when you lurk, you don't always have to make the big play. You just have to be relevant in the overall context of the round. If he goes down and even gets the attention from someone on statue to look toward drop, well, that's one less person that's taking the fights and the duels for the entries. So you're making space for your team. And it seems like he doesn't do that enough.
Contrast it against what LDLC did with much inferior players. Like Mistu is a much worse player than Happy. He didn't have to get kills every time he went to the drop room, but he was taking like 1, 2 guys' attention, slower rotation. Like he was actually having an impact on the game. But then again, that's because he's in sync with his in-game leader. The problem with Happy as well is his mistakes are compounded because he is the in-game leader. So if he doesn't read the game and know what timing to go in, you have to look over at those other guys and go, well, how are they supposed to know? You're the guy with the plan, you know. So very, very disjointed. And quite frankly, that was the map that was the clear favourite for EnVyUs. So they're absolutely looking down the barrel at this point in time. Yeah,
I mean, you said during the group stages that even though they're in the last 4 with 3 spots, they can't possibly lose 2 best-of-3s in this time. But on that form, you'd have to worry for them, wouldn't you?
Luckily, you know, like, okay, Penta is starting to look more solid, but Dignitas is out there. Listen, it's like I made that joke yesterday, because in that series when LDLC was playing Dignitas, LDLC would lose every post plant, you know, and then they had that one where just Dignitas completely threw it down the drain themselves. So it's like, you know, if there's one thing we're good at, we're the best at them anyways, is losing post plants, and Dignitas was like, give me a go. And then they were like, no, not bad. First effort, you're just as bad, you know. So I still feel like that's the unknown quantities. The fact that Dignitas isn't that stable, isn't that solid, that's the lifeline for EnVyUs. I mean, they can still come back in this series. The other maps, they're still good maps for them. They can still do all the rest of it. They are also a team with great players. So you do the hard reset between maps. You come back, suddenly RPK does well. That can all happen. The problem is, you've just essentially said to Penta, here's 2 chances to beat us.
And not
they
only
have to take one of them.
Not only that, it's 2 chances to qualify. Because remember, if you get to the upper bracket, 3 teams make it through, you're in no matter what. So you'd think that Envy would kind of consider the fact that they've got an easy shot to do that, and they're making it absolutely abysmal and hard for themselves. I'm still not impressed. It is disjointed is the word for it. It's been pretty sloppy.
And on the back of that as well, if they end up being the team that fall out of this, one of the teams out of the 4 that we've got left, and don't even make the offline finals. I mean,
they just went through a French shuffle. I don't know what the contracts look like. I don't like looking at a shuffle every time, but clearly this team's... I mean, you got to remember, too, Scream, like, they aren't utilizing him. Maybe there's something in that with Happy, because originally Scream wasn't supposed to be on this team. He was hoping to go back to FaZe. They went and got Nico. Devidek was supposed to be the player coming into this lineup. He got bumped again because, okay, Scream's available. We'll go with the experience. You know, why wouldn't you? Devidek ends up in the U.S. If things with CLG don't go right, if they don't make it through, and he could end up back over in France,
Misfits.
maybe he's an option. Misfits, sorry, what did I say? CLG, yeah, sorry. Misfits, he comes back over. Chance there, he comes into the roster. You look at LDLC. There is capability of making another decent French team. So if these guys don't pick it up soon, something's got to give. I mean, it is early in the life, but to not make it through to an offline qualifier, even when you got Happy leading, is
especially
ridiculous.
If you look at the context. Remember, LDLC's in the same tournament. They've got these glaring flaws. They're lacking certain players. I think actually what's funny is they've made these 2 different teams, and I think if you mix up just those players, you could get 2 better teams out of them. You know, they're just mismatched in terms of one's got all the tactics, and the team don't have the firepower to execute it. It is a game about killing people. The other one's got all this mad latent potential, and they don't have any system to utilize it. And the in-game leader doesn't have a feel for how those guys want to play. So, like, at the moment, I have to say, this was what I said when they brought together this team. No, I didn't expect them to win majors and stuff. That's unrealistic. They lost the best players. But they had Scream, and Scream is an incredibly good player. So I said, this is the test of Happy as a leader. Because it's one thing if you can just get the guys who naturally fit with you and win. Can you figure out how to make this work with you? Because the great in-game leaders, sometimes they just have to work with what they've got. And at the moment, he's getting a pretty bad grade for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Tough for them. Penta, on the other hand, Matt.
Yeah,
one game away from making the offline finals now. They've always been one of those teams over the years that have been the upset team, whether they've been a German team or a mixed team or whatever it was. They're capable of doing this.
It's kind of weird how there's a few orgs like that. Hellraiser's is another one. Mouse Sports is another one. They're very different from what they were, but they continue to just kind of make themselves relevant in many ways. And I'm impressed. I think that
I mean, talking in English, I don't know how much Nasu's bringing in terms of coaching, but they seem to at least have an understanding of the discipline and fundamentals. They're not doing anything crazy. They really aren't doing anything that's that flashy. No one's going aggressive. It's not like they're flashing
They've not needed to.
No, that's the point. I mean, they're not getting tested enough, which is why I think that the offline qualifier will be when, like, I can't see them going beyond that when they get against more structured teams. But at least they're doing what almost EnVyUs should be doing at this point in time. They're playing fundamental CS first and then just taking it as it goes one step at a time. Sunny is the one that looks like he wants to get more aggressive in situations, and we've seen that. Deagle round was pretty good as well. Another 1v1 peak from Envy over again. But yeah, I mean, I'm impressed, but I'm not going to get on a hype train to say, like, oh, Penta's awesome. They should make it through to the qualifier. From there, I'm not sure.
Okay. In terms of the player lineup, Thorin, there's been a couple of players that have stood out throughout the tournament that they played so far. HS is one of them. Innocent's had the odd round here, and as Matt's already pointed out, Sunny's had some very high points in this. They seem quite well-rounded in terms of firepower as well as strategy.
Yeah, that's also the thing. Like, obviously, the whole gamble when you go the multi-international route is the idea that I'm going to have to get more skilled players because I'm going to give up something in terms of natural way of playing or past experience playing together, and it's worked so far. Like, admittedly, they've had to work with their budget. You know, they can't just go and get a superstar. Yeah. The other teams have got those, even the other international mixed teams. But certainly, I like the formula of what they've got, and I actually feel like one thing I have to say about them, even in the ups and downs, there's a baseline they've never dropped below. And you can't say that about the EnVyUs of the world, the LDLCs. But even not, they've actually been one of the higher averages for the tournament. And part of the reason why, I think, is because some of these guys, Sunny, Innocent, they've been trapped within their native scenes for so long that they've lost tons of times. They've had times when they were really good, it didn't work. So now it's almost like they have the mentality of, like, why would I be worried? Now I've actually got proper teammates.
Yeah.
Like, if anything,
they want to win.
What's weird is you don't have to be the best, but you've got this great confidence because you've never had it as good as this.
Yeah. I mean, some of the players also look better. I mean, you mentioned Innocent as one of those players who, I don't want to be mean to him, but he didn't look like a standout player playing in his own home country and around players that he just played with. Right? Now suddenly you put him in here and he looks a good player now.
Well, I think that goes to what Thorne said, because you look at Sunny and Zen, and it's kind of similar. Zen more so is always more borderline. Sunny had the potential even in Ents. People were kind of leaning toward him. I remember Natu saying, like, this guy could be breakout. But it goes to, like, if you have a platform, if you're an org right now, there's some sustainability in that. If you want to look at this from another side, not just the player's mentality. If you're at least appealing, like Mouse Sports and Hellraisers and Penta, all could be orgs that just fizzled out. Came into the scene in CS, didn't get results, boom, gone. And we've seen that so many times. Yep. But because they have this baseline of results, because they have this structure that they can bring players in who are stuck in countries where they don't have anything appealing, that's what's going to get them their success, because I think that's the way to look. If I'm telling you right now, especially let's say Canada and US didn't play together for some reason. Let's say there was all Canadian teams. There's not enough there to really make a top team. I'd be the first one to be like, I'm out. Where can I go? Like, who's going to give me an offer? And then you're not going to suddenly break into like a world-beating team, but you might go to a Penta who's at least getting into tournaments and giving you a platform at the very least.
No, that's why I agree. That's why actually I think what Mouse Sports and now FaZe have really proven is that the model works, because the concept isn't that these 5 players with this really weird background are going to be the best. It's that if 3 of them are really good, I'll move this one out. And you know what? The more success you have, the more people want to play. Like, guess what? Now people want to go to FaZe. Like, we're talking about the French teams. There's a reason why we're not talking about Kiyoshima. He'll never go and join those teams again. Why would he? He's in a much better team.
Absolutely. I think he's the perfect example.
He should have been out there in the mix, right? He should have been. So I actually think even on this lower level, obviously the bigger players are going to be like, I'll maybe go to Mouse Sports, But there's players who, again, are in this scenario. Like, they're like the second best player in, I mean, let's just pick a random, Belgium, for example. As long as they can speak good enough English, hey, if Penta's available, I'll go and play this. Actually, in theory, you should have a long line of talent who have very limited options where you can upgrade if you need to. So it doesn't have to be this lineup. They just have to prove the concept. And then, eventually, it's almost inevitable. You will get the good lineup eventually, which, as both Mouse Sports and FaZe have done.
Yeah, and just tagging onto a little point that you made about nationality and scene, it takes you out of that kind of toxic area sometimes. Like, for instance,
and you're not in the musical chairs anymore.
Absolutely,
it's like, I'm in this team again.
The French side have been exactly that, hasn't it? It's been 15 players rotated around 3 different teams for what seems like forever. It's about 4 years now. Yeah. When you get moved out of that, suddenly you're a different player. And Kyo is that perfect example of a player.
Sometimes that skill level, you just never fit in with them, but sometimes it's also like they can be cliquey. Like, they just don't like you.
I was going to say, it's the clickiness, isn't it? It's like, I don't want to play with Scream.
It's like the Makaleli example, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he's the one who ultimately started the project that became FaZe to prove the concept. Obviously, he's still having struggles finding a home, poor guy. But yeah, it's true. Like, it could just be a social thing.
All right, thank you very much. We could talk about this forever. There's plenty to be discussed in Counter-Strike, as you well know. But the players are ready, so let's head back to our commentary team for game number 2.
Thank you so much, Paul. Indeed.